Hi, you're watching a screencast for the Possible Futures, Possible Selves IT curriculum. We're going to be going through Ball Bounce, which is a simple game app. And in this tutorial, we'll be learning about animation in App Inventor by making a ball bounce around on a screen. And the tutorial here is a walkthrough of resources from MIT's App Inventor. So you can find that online, and it's linked on the curriculum worksheet as well. We're going to begin by going to App Inventor. You should already have been there a few times before. We're going to click Create Apps, and we're going to log into our accounts. All right, so from here, we're going to go ahead and start a new project by going up to New Projects, Start a New Project, and we can go ahead and call this Ball Bounce. Again, no spaces. Oops. Okay, so Ball Bounce has loaded. And quick reminder, we have our user interface buttons here where you can find more specifics, media, sensors, social, things like that on the left, and then the properties are on the right. So we're going to get a habit of dragging buttons and then customizing those buttons under properties. So we're going to go under drawing and animation, click canvas, and we're going to drop this canvas there. So the default setting for App Inventor is that the screen of your app will be scrollable, which means that the user interface can go beyond the limit of the screen and the user can scroll down by swiping their finger, like scrolling on a web page, like a lot of people already are comfortable doing. So when we're using the canvas, you have to turn off the scrollable setting because what we're trying to do is have this ball bounce within your screen. So we don't want it to be rolling because you're actually going to be directing the ball to bounce based on the way you flick your screen. So what we're going to do here is make sure we're on the screen component and look at the properties of the screen and make sure that this is unclicked. So just make sure that we're saying this is not a scrollable screen. So now that we know our screen isn't scrollable, we want to change the height and width of the canvas itself to fill the screen. So what we'll do is we'll make sure the canvas component is selected so that its properties show up in the properties pane. And down at the bottom, we'll set the height property to fill the parent. So you can do that by just clicking. Click OK. And then the width, fill parent, click OK. Now that we have the canvas in place, we're going to add a ball sprite. This can also be found in the drawing and animation drawer right here. And we'll do that by simply making sure our canvas is the component that we're working under and dragging the ball onto the screen. You'll notice this ball is a little small. So if you'd like the ball to show up better, you can change its radius properties in the property pane. So again, we want to make sure the ball is clicked. We can roll down. You can also change colors if you want. And then the radius, you can just kind of fool around with that. There we go. I'm going to settle with green. So now we have our components set up. So we're going to move on to programming them. So you'll want to go to the blocks editor by clicking this top right. Again, designer will take you back to this mode, and then blocks are where you'll find the blocks to eventually code your app. We're going to open the ball drawer to view the ball's blocks. So we'll click that, and you can see that there's a variety of programs here. So we'll be choosing the block that says when ball flung. right here, win ball flung, and we'll drag and drop that into our workspace. Flung here is referring to the gesture that I was referencing before. So the idea of, flicking your finger on the screen for things to move around. In App Inventor, the handler here is called flung. You can call it whatever you want, but your app won't understand it unless you call it flung. So now we're going to set this ball's heading and speed. And so we're going to need the setter blocks. And so we're going to go to the ball properties again and scroll down until we get to this green area for these setter blocks. So we want the set heading. So we're going to tell it what it's going to start with. So we're going to drag that. And hopefully you're hearing that click. That means that you are connecting these pieces. And then we're going to go find the speed. So we're going to set the speed as well. Again, you hear that click. So what we're doing here is we're saying when the app begins, there's a certain heading and a certain speed. So now we're going to set the ball's speed to be the same as the fling gesture's speed. We're going to mouse over the speed parameter of when ball flung. Click that and you see these blocks appear. The get and set blocks for the speed of the fling will pop up. Grab the get speed block and plug that in to the set ball speed block. I'm confusing myself, sorry. There we go. So set ball speed to get speed. Similar, we're going to be clicking the heading and get heading. So set ball heading to get heading. There we go. So at this stage, it's a good idea to start testing your apps. If you haven't used the Wi-Fi connection to test your apps on your phone, now's a good time to make sure that this works. And what you'll see is you'll be able to fling the ball from one side to the other, but you'll notice that it'll just get stuck, or at least that's what should be happening. But what we'll go ahead and do is we'll continue on working here, and we will begin with programming the ball to bounce when it hits the edge of a screen. Naturally, we'll go to the ball program, and we'll be able to scroll. This is from the very top. And you can see when edge reached. So we'll want to bring that into our program. And yeah, another thing to point out if you haven't caught on yet, occasionally I have a hard time recreating it, but you can see that there's explainer text that kind of helps you out, lets you know what each thing does. All right, so we're going to go back to the ball code again, scroll down to the purple category, and we're going to look at the ball bounce block. So you see this says call bounce edge. Take that, drag that in, nice little click. And so to add the edge value for the ball bounce block, we'll need to let it know when it hits the edge. So we can do that by grabbing the edge block by just mousing over and clicking this edge command, and we can drag the get edge to the edge. Okay, so you've now programmed your app to do a ball bounce. What that means is you can load up this app and you'll be able to flick a ball around on your screen and it should bounce when it's around the edges. Feel free to customize with size and color, backgrounds, and other kinds of things you've been learning as you've been using our Possible Futures resources. Again, this particular resource can be found on appinventor.mit.edu, but definitely keep on using the resources from Possible Futures, and looking forward to hearing about your projects. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for other additional resources.